started in Kansas, less than 2 months after the Supreme Court overturned Roe, after they overturned the constitutional right to an abortion. Voters in red state Kansas resoundingly stood up for abortion rights in their state. 59% of Kansans voting that abortion should stay legal in that state. A few weeks later, Democrats won a special election for an open congressional seat in a swing district in upstate New York with a candidate who made the loss of abortion rights the centerpiece of his campaign. A week after that, in Alaska, another Democrat won another special election in the House, this time flipping a seat from red to blue, also running on a pro-abortion rights platform. I should mention, only 12% of Alaska voters are Democrats, but the Democrat won that seat. Then a few months later, in November 2022, we had the first big nationwide election since they overturned Roe. And more Democrats ran aggressive campaigns focused on reproductive rights. And in those elections in November 2022, Republicans suffered historically poor results, the worst for an opposition party in decades. Beyond the congressional races that day, there were 5 more states that put abortion directly on the ballot. And in all 5 of those states, voters moved toward abortion rights and away from abortion restrictions. The reproductive rights victories continued the following year, affecting the race for a Supreme Court on the affecting the race for a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And the race for the Kentucky governorship, and the race for control of the legislature in Virginia. Also, the state constitution in Ohio, where voters chose to enshrine the right to have an abortion in the Ohio state constitution. Since the fall of Roe 2 years ago today, the political impact has been indelible and stark and remarkably consistent. And that has been bolstered by what the overturning of Roe has changed in the minds of the American people. It's a new understanding that the question of reproductive rights is not just about accessing abortion. It is about what happens if you have a miscarriage, or you go into septic shock during pregnancy, or you have any other dangerous form of complication and you can't access health care because the state you live in has banned abortion. One pollster telling the New York Times today that before Roe fell, the percentage of the public that considered abortion personally relevant to them was as low as about 15%. But in the post-Roe landscape that we live in now, that has changed. Her more recent polling asked independent voters about the stories of women almost dying because they live in states that have banned abortion. Of independent voters she polled who support abortion rights, the number who said those stories will affect how they will vote in the upcoming elections is 73%. The pollster tells the New York Times, quote, "Now it's about pregnancy. And everybody knows someone who had a baby or wants to have a baby or might get pregnant. It is profoundly personal to a majority of the public." Joining us now is Amy Klobuchar, Democratic Senator from the great state of Minnesota. She's a member of the Judiciary Committee. Senator Klobuchar, it's really nice to see you. Thank you so much for making time to be here.
Thanks, Rachel. It's great to be on again.
So today is the 2-year anniversary since Roe was overturned. We know a lot about the human cost. We know about, for example, new research just published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, which says that it has adversely and seriously affected infant mortality in that state with its profound abortion ban. What do you think is most important for the American public to understand on this 2-year anniversary since the decision was made for the country?
You know, I think everyone remembers where they were when this thought to be leaked opinion was, you found out it was a real opinion. I was at getting my hair cut, and there's a line of 4 women at the hairdressers, and everyone in the place said, that just can't be true. And 2 years later, we know how true it is. 50 years of freedom's just thrown out the window. You've got IVF affected. 8 million babies were born that way. You've got contraception affected. You have got doctors in fear of criminal prosecution. You've got women bleeding out in parking lots because they are told in an emergency room, hey, you got to be more serious. We know you're in bad health, but we've got to be kind of near death to be able to get the kind of treatment you need. 1 in 3 women are now living in a state with an extreme abortion ban. That is our current reality, Rachel, but it does not have to be our future. And that's what you see in these states all across the country, with people turning out on the prairies, people turning out for referendums and for governor's races and U.S. Senate races, and of course the presidency, because it is so clear, and you're going to hear this on that debate stage, when one of the candidates, Donald Trump, said he is proud to be the person responsible for overturning Roe. And then you've got Joe Biden vowing to codify Roe v. Wade into law, so long as we elect these candidates and we know we need to take back the House and win these Senate races. That is what is at stake in this election.
I think that a lot of people who are strongly for abortion rights, whether they were before this decision or they newly are strongly for abortion rights, worry that this is something that the Supreme Court has taken on, that Republican legislatures have taken on, and they've effectively taken it out of the hands of somebody like Joe Biden, who supports abortion rights, that when he talks about codifying Roe versus Wade, I'm not sure people know what that means in terms of what it would do in all of these states where state laws, where Republican legislators and Republican governors have enforced these bans.
Well, we know it is time to have a national standard, which is Roe v. Wade. That will guarantee our freedoms, because what Trump has now said is that he wants to return it to the states. What does that mean? Look at what these states are doing. One state, Texas, with that Trump-appointed judge, and yes, the judges are on the line here, the Trump-appointed judge banning mifepristone. You've got another state where they're going to criminally prosecute doctors. Another state says they don't want to have people cross lines to get their reproductive health care. State by state by state, you saw governors racing to their state house to see how draconian they could be to kiss the ring of Donald Trump. That is what is going on right now. So that is a clear difference. And I think, as you showed with your proof points from across the country, people do see the difference. They know that there is one person who's going to stand up for them, and then there's Donald Trump, who has vowed over the years everything he has said, from yes, he'd prosecute doctors, to yes, he would look at a national ban, to yes, most recently, hey, let's give it back to the states. Look at the patchwork of laws that we have had that have hurt the women of this country.
Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, thank you so much for your time tonight. It's the anniversary now, but we're also in this very, very acute political moment when I think people are really focusing in on how much this is tied to what happens next, these next political decisions we make as a country. Thanks for helping us understand it.
Exactly. Thanks, Rachel.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.